who they really are and what they can accomplish. See, there's so many things that's been put out into our psyche, into our mindset that suggests that, you know, that we're lazy. Now, let me say this, Dr. Haney. Now, when Americans were slaves in this country, we was the most valuable resource. We was a hot commodity over here. Now, when slavery ended, how did the people that worked so hard were the best of the best, the cream of the crop, that brought the most money on the auction block, how did we all of a sudden become so unvaluable? That how did this person, this good buck that could go and impregnate all these women, and that could go and glean a field and stuff, now all of a sudden slavery is over, and he's lazy, no good, good for nothing, nobody. You know, so that thought process was impregnated in our mindset, and we latched onto that stuff instead of looking at it. Wait a minute, and somebody should have been like analyzing this. Why is this change taking place now, as opposed, why am I different now on this side of slavery than I am on this side of slavery. So those are some of the things that has been injected into our thinking process and our thought processes that keeps us from developing as a people. And I think socially we got to make our youth understand who they are and what they can accomplish in life once they learn who they are, you know, because, you know, we're not these lazy, no good, insignificant people that we've been taught to believe that we are. We're not the people that, you know, there was a time that, you know, you got to look at, think about it, Dr. Haney, during slavery, we had to stick together. We survived, our race of people survived slavery because we had to stick together. We had to look out for one another. We had to provide for one another. We had to do for one another. We had to stick together. Now all of a sudden we on this side of slavery, we hit Jim Crow and all this, and now we don't stick together. You know, is it that we really don't stick together, or is it because we have been indoctrinated through some systemic design to make ourselves believe that we don't stick together to the degree that we actually don't do it?
In other words, we work out to be our own worst enemies.
Absolutely.
In a real sense. Go on.
Yeah, and we do that, Dr. Haney, by actually feeding into stuff that's being told us rather than analyzing what's being said. You know, because how is it that, you know, when we come out, you think in terms of when you come out of slavery and you had blacks that was beginning to own businesses and we had to buy and sell from one another and stuff like that. Well, you know, it was a trust thing that had to be implemented in there that says you can't trust your fellow black man to sell you the product at a reasonable price, but not mentioning the fact that he can't sell you the product at the price that you could go get it from the white guy, because the white guy was getting true wholesale and the black man wasn't getting true wholesale. So if his price was marked up when he bought it, then he's gonna have to mark his price up in order to have a profit margin. So, and then that same thing could possibly exist today. And I know this because there are certain companies that I deal with, and I sell clothing, and there's that's companies that I get true wholesale prices from. And then there are a couple of companies that I deal with that they don't give me true wholesale prices. So if you get a suit from that particular catalog, it's gonna cost you more than it would be if you got it from over here, because over here I don't have true wholesale prices, so if they got a 20% markup, I got to market in order to be profitable in that area.
In reference to what you're doing.
So it's not a matter of well, you're selling yours more.
That you're making it's something that's almost forced onto you if you're dealing with any kind of business. Is that what you're saying?
It's the economic part of that system and that's how it works. You know, and that's just how you got to understand. So it's not that the black person would get the store and sell their products much higher just because they wanted to make more money. No, it's so high in order to make money. They had to do that in order to stay afloat and to make money. But we've been taught and we've been indoctrinated with this mindset, this thought process that says, you know, I can't trust you because you're black. But at the same time, we came through this whole process of slavery. We came through this. See, I had to trust you in order to be able to march on the lines during the struggle. I had to trust you that you was going to be there with me during this march.
Real sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if I had to trust you, if trust bind us together to make us push forward to bring about some changes in the political spectrum in this country, then I had to have that same measure of trust when I'm dealing business with you as well. So you can't tell me I can trust you if we marching, but I can't trust you if you open the store. So we get ourselves in a situation whereas we're binded by a mindset that's keeping us, that's holding us back instead of propelling us forward. And I say this concerning our youth. We have to train our youth, but Dr. Haney, it's a sad situation a lot of time that we deal with, because it's like, how can you teach when you haven't been taught? So it's a thing, whereas we talk about a lot of time empowering and educating and equipping our youth to do certain things and stuff like that. But at the same time, while in the process of empowering, educating, and equipping our youth, we have to empower, educate, and equip the adults so that they can, in turn, have something to share with the youth. Because where it is now, you look at a lot of situations, the youth are looking and they're listening, but they're seeing one thing, but they're not hearing a lot of what they need to be hearing in terms of how can I navigate my way through these systems and traps that's out here in life for me, and especially in life for when you look at the African-American male. You know, and you know, a lot of times, I need to say this too, that when you talk about the African-American male and African-Americans, and you're specifically talking about that, people want to say, well, you're racist or whatever, but that's not it. I just love my people.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Reverend. Let's have this second commercial break, and then we're going to come back and continue our conversation. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor KWalker, and he's given us some information of dealing with the political, social, and economic aspects of the African American and how the African American can be empowered through learning and the knowledge of himself. And so, Pastor, let's see if we can pick up where we left off the last time, but especially I'm concerned about not only the African-American race, but I'm also concerned specifically about young African-American males in the African-American race. What can we say in reference to what they should do?
You know, Dr. Haney, I firmly believe that the man is supposed to be the head. He's supposed to be the shield, the protector, the covering. You know, he's supposed to be the strength, you know, of the family unit, you know. And if you can weaken the strength, if you can destroy the strength of the family unit, then you can destroy the family unit. You know, you can pretty much hold anything else, you know, at bay. You know, the Bible says if you bind the strong man, you know, if you bind the strong man, whatever is in the house, whatever goods, you can spoil his goods and everything like that. So we live in a culture where oftentimes the black African-American male is under attack, and a lot of times not even realizing the design of the attack that they're under, you know. You know, just say, for example, with the pants, people walking around with their pants down. You know, okay, if that's a dress style, I don't quite get it. I don't understand it. And time from time, I ask young African American men, you know, why do you do that? And I've not been able to get an answer. Nobody can ever tell me. But then I hear people say, well, you know, that came from the prison. Well, Dr. Haney, I've been to prison. And during my time in prison, that wasn't the case. People weren't walking around with their pants hanging off like that, you know, indicating, you know, that they were open for homosexual activity or what have you. But, you know, that, to me, I think it was a creative design through the music industry. You know, you had people like Criss Cross coming out here wearing their clothes backwards and stuff like that back some years ago. And then you got the rap videos and stuff like that. Because, see, when I was coming up in my day and age, you know, I'm almost 60 years old. In my day and age coming up, you know, we had music that had messages in it, you know. I mean, you know, James Brown was talking about say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, and, you know, different things. Earth, Wind, and Fire talking about keep your head to the sky, true devotion, and different things like that. But now you got music now, and then you got the video aspect of it. You know, back in my day, they had the black exploitation movies, you know, Superfly, The Mac, and Across 110th Street, you know, all those movies like that sent us in a direction away from our true identity and who we are in terms of how to be successful in life here in America. And now that worked, but when you had the music of the OJs counteracting the movies, the music of the OJs counteracting the movies, then the system found a way to put the music and the movie together, and they call it video. And then they took the lyrics and changed the lyrics, and they call it rap. And a lot of the raps, the dirtier the rap is, the more garbage it spits out, the more degrading it is toward our women, the more violence it shows, the more sexual immorality it shows and things like that, the more money the artists are making. And the more money the artists are making, they're putting it out there. They're glorifying a negative lifestyle that's only produces death and destruction. And our people are listening to that stuff. They're grabbing hold to that stuff, and they're allowing that stuff to go into their minds. And that's why the Bible talks about be careful what you hear, because what you hear can determine how you act or your behavior. So people are listening to this music, and then they're acting in accordance to this music. Now you got a situation in life that we're living with where morals are being taught through video and rap music. So these are negative morals that we're being taught, and then we're acting out on those things. So it's easy now for somebody to grow up in grade school with a friend, two young black males growing up, going to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, fifth grade. They grow up and they become teenagers. One pulls a gun and shoots the other one in the head, blows his brains out, without any even thought about it, because of what's been the thought process that's been injected into us through this particular medium. And we have to wake up and see. That's why I say it's so important about training our children, man, because our children need to be taught the right way to do things. You know, it used to be you could get in a fist fight, Dr. Haney, you get up and y'all still friends, you know, next day or two and stuff like that. But now it's like there's such a fear factor going on. And when you see a black man, you know, walking around nowadays, you know, you got his pants dripping down, you got his mouth, you know, full of gold and stuff like that. You're all dreadlocked down, your clothes all big and loose and stuff like that. And it's a fear. It's designed to put a fear factor in there, because now they're showing you doing all these negative things, and then when you do these things, now you got American society running around afraid of you when they shouldn't be afraid of you. You know, we're a valuable asset here in America. We got spending power in America and everything, but because of the way we're acting as a result of these videos or what have you, and just other behavior too, not just videos and that stuff like that, but the way we're acting, you know, even myself, I'm a black man. It's clear that I'm a black man. But sometimes, you know, I can see some black men, you know, with their pants down or with that certain look, that certain profile, then I'm kind of standoffish. I back off. You know,
that makes you fearful as well.
Well, it makes me more so less apt to approach them as I would. You know, I'm always open-minded, but I'm less apt to approach them as I would if they wasn't looking like that. In other words, Dr. Haney, a profile has been created for them, and what we're doing, and we're doing it to our young boys, we're dressing them into that profile. I told a young man he had a marijuana hat with marijuana leaves all on. I said, now you'll go out here, put that hat on, the police will pull you over and stop you. And the first thing you'll cry out, you've been racially profiled, when what you did, you deliberately dressed, you got tattoos all around your neck, all on your face, you got a hat with marijuana on, you got your pants hanging down, your big old shirt on. You just profiled yourself, and then you're gonna blame the police for profiling. You know, you fit the image that they created, that the system created for you. So when you step out into the system with that image, the system snatches you up, because you're more likely to be the one that'll do this crime than somebody like me walking down the street with a suit on.
You know, we've got about 3 minutes. One of the things I'd like for you to touch upon is political participation. I mean, all of these things, well and good, but what can we do in reference to that? I think that politics plays an important part. For the next 3 minutes,
Yeah.
let's talk about African American political participation.
Politics plays a definitely important part. You know, you think about Ferguson, Missouri, for example, 75% of the population up there are African American, but yet they don't control nothing, they don't run nothing because they don't get out and vote for nothing. You know, they're not running for the offices that are available. You know, you can't tell me that there are no qualified black people up there to run for these offices and can get elected. You know, but the people, if we don't vote, you know, we sit up and talk about Dr. Haney, well, my vote don't count. Of course your vote don't count if you don't go cast the ballot, but your vote does count. We're passed over economically, socially, because of the fact that we don't vote. Man, these people are looking at the number of voters in the zip codes. You take a 37208 zip code here in Nashville, Tennessee, if the voting percentage is down, which is predominantly African American, then they're not really campaigning in your community. They're not really caring what happens because you're not caring enough for yourself to go out and try to vote the best possible candidate into office. So now we don't get the services that we need in our area. And the reason why we're not getting the services that we need in our area is because we're not attracting the attention of the politician to our area through our active participation in the voting process. And until we get it in our mind that we got to get out here and get actively involved in politics and not just wait till some black guy run for president to get interested in politics or some friend of your family that you know, that your mother knows somebody going to run for office. Now all of a sudden you turn out of politics. No, you need to learn this stuff and you need to get involved in this stuff, find out what's going on and how you can participate in the process. If you're not registered to vote, I encourage people every Sunday in my church, go out, get registered to vote. If you're an ex-offender, you've had your voting rights taken away from you, go find 7 people, get them registered to vote, and let's show the system. And I would say this to ex-offenders, you know, ex-offenders, if all the ex-offenders will come together and create a block, we could get some attention. We can make the system look at us. I say us because I'm an ex-offender. We can make the system look at us because does the system know that you got 10 ex-offenders or 20 ex-offenders, 1,000 ex-offenders that have the potential to go out and get 7 people registered to vote that vote their interest. That's a scary thing for any politician, and they're going to take notice of you.
So in a real sense, the empowerment of African Americans has to do with social empowerment, economic empowerment, and political empowerment. And one of the most obvious and most immediate things is political empowerment.
Absolutely.
Because I think that if you talk about political empowerment, you can bring all of those other things together. And
you absolutely can.
The most important thing is registering and voting.
Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. If we empower ourselves politically, we can affect ourselves economically, because at the same time, the people know that you're going to have to do something in terms of opening up some kind of job arenas for us. Get rid of these food deserts. You know, you build this great thing down here, you go down and tear out Preston Taylor Project. It's a big grocery store down there, but you don't put a grocery store down there. Nobody puts a store.
Okay, and of course, Pastor, let me end this show for today. And thank you for the information, excellent information that you've given us. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.
Mr. Taylor, if I can get a mic check for you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Brother Taylor, we're
Yes,
going to
sir.
deal with African American and literacy.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes, that's fine. And I will be dealing with it, through the way I've been training myself, to deal with it.
Well, however you want to deal with it.
Okay.
See, and so this was supposed to be our last show.
Okay.
But we had to make arrangements.
Okay.
Because we had two cancellations.
Okay.
And so we were able to sit in here from 1:45 to 2:30. Get here early. Hopefully, this last show. Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, I'm getting it out of here. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I need to refix that. Perfect. And I need to read it.
Okay.
Now, if you want to
Button it up. Okay.
back, and then
Okay.
that way it will hide
Okay.
that mic cable should it wants to move
Okay.
out.
Okay.
I'll keep these.
Tweak the cable here. Should be okay.
Okay, Brother Taylor,
Okay.
what we'd like to do today, Professor Taylor, is to talk about African Americans and literacy.
Okay.
That's essentially what we want to do.
Okay.
And so I'll introduce the topic, African Americans and literacy, and we'll start off talking about that first 6 minutes. We'll deal with your background,
Okay.
education, and your experience.
Okay.
That's what we'll do. Deal
Okay.
with
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Then during that second segment, after we take this first commercial break, after 6 minutes,
Okay.
we'll come back with an 8-minute segment.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the
Topic.
itself,
Okay.
African Americans and literacy.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then we'll do that for 8 minutes, and then we'll take another break and
Okay.
we'll come back for that final part.
Okay.
Which is 10 minutes.
Okay.
We'll continue on African American literacy.
Okay.
Really, you Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is African American literacy, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about African American literacy, Mr. Gregory Taylor, who is a researcher dealing with the African American experience. And Professor Taylor, Mr. Taylor, let's see if we can get from you some information dealing with your background, your education, and some of your experiences. And then we'll be able to get into African Americans and literacy after this first commercial break, which will give us 8 minutes and then 10 minutes to complete this project for today.
Okay.
So let's talk about your background, your education, and your experiences, Mr. Taylor.
Dr. Haney, I am from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, a little town called Northport. Went to high school at Riverside High School and Tuscaloosa County High School. And we went to college at Selma University. And we also did some research in the areas of background. And I did substitute teaching, certified teacher's assistant. I was also a substitute librarian. And we did a lot of research. And all the while I was in school, I was doing substitute teaching. And then I became a certified teacher. And having gone from different class to class, school to school as a substitute teacher taught me a lot. And the superintendent of one of the school systems in Atlanta hired me as a substitute teacher. He wanted me to teach mostly English classes. And he wanted the students to hear the language correctly spoken. And I was not that good of a writer. I actually called myself a scribbler. But what we did learn was that it was helping the kids to see the language being spoken. And my experiences has taught me that a lot of teachers can teach from the book. A lot of teachers have been certificated, but they're not certified. You know, and they know the language in terms of the laws of English and things like that. And you have what I call the speaking world, the thinking world, as well as the reading world. And there's different kind of thought in each one. And so I brought all of these things together. And the book that I have written is called Unrefined Thoughts for Thinking for Learning. And that book is designed to connect the totally illiterate, the functionally illiterate, with those that are literate. And these are the areas of these experiences in this particular area.
When you think about, Professor Taylor, the African American experience, and especially when you talk about literacy, and I think when most folks think in terms of literacy, they think in terms of reading and writing. You know, you say a person is literate, he's not. But now, when you think about the ability for African Americans to read and write, why don't you start in your earlier experiences in terms of your knowledge in reference to it, and where did we first come into contact with the written word?
Okay. Well, for me, I recall my mother teaching me the Bible. And this is very interesting, Dr. Haney. My mother made me feel guilty when I could not pronounce a word when she was teaching me the Bible. And I learned later that she did not know phonics. And you have a lot of teachers today in the schools who make their kids feel guilty if they didn't know certain things, so that the child will refrain from asking them different questions like that. And in kindergarten, I quit kindergarten because I was afraid of my teacher's voice, and my mother allowed me to quit. And I have learned, I attended the National Black Education Association here, and I sit in on the class, Why Johnny Can't Read. And it was spoken how a lot of African American males in preschool or kindergarten were ridiculed, embarrassed, and this planted negative thoughts in them when it comes to learning. And this is one of the things that has made me very sensitive in this area when it comes to training and the voice of the teacher, that type of thing. And that's the experiences that I recall in those basic years in getting started. And that's very important. You know, and I've did speaking engagements in Atlanta in literacy agencies where kids were learning to read, and they had a lot to say about their negative memory of how the teacher made them feel. And in the book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk, it speaks about how a child may not know how to tell you how you made them feel, but they know how to feel, you know. And so all of these things are basic things. They're affecting our education. I'm reminded of the lady of the Children's Defense Fund. She said on 2005 NBC News that our kids are being prepared in prenatal for prison. And Dr. Alvin Poussaint at Vanderbilt Medical School 2012, he spoke of how we must go into the prenatal area to help our kids today, how they have been imprinted, and the womb is their first world. So I'm one who see education which starts there, and we need to go there to help.
Okay, and let's take this first commercial break.
Okay.
And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.